What I'd like to say is, if you pay attention to anything that I have to say about Newcastle fans on here, I've been nothing but polite, respectful. Wah, wah, cry more. Wah, 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 cry more. Cry more. Wah.
What's going on, guys? It's Adam P. We are in Glasgow ahead of Newcastle United's pre-season kickoff. First game in front of fans as we take on Celtic. 10,000 Newcastle fans are going to be here tomorrow. It is already covered in black and white, and it's still 24 hours before kickoff, so it's going to be mental. Now, I'm currently outside a bar called Committee Room 9, and of course, with the 9 being in the name, they've actually decorated the bar with the Newcastle number 9 on the sign. They've got a sign up this weekend. Of course, welcome and invite Newcastle fans to come into the bar. I want to start this video off with that now. I'm not being paid. I'm not doing any adverts. I promise you. I've just came to this bar, and of course, Newcastle fans are going to be asking me on social media anyway where the bar is this weekend, where Newcastle fans coming to. There's one there that is open to 1 a.m. and it's straight up said Newcastle fans coming because they've got the number 9 sign on the door. So I felt like we'll be fair enough and mention it in this video. But of course, speaking of numbers, guess what shirt I am wearing today? Do not even get me started. Anthony Elanga has been selected as our number 20, which means our record is now 5-3 in terms of guessing players' numbers before they are announced. Number 20, every single time we got something wrong, has been involved. I just can't get over this number. It's continuing to haunt me. I'm going to be going to bed tonight, and number 20 is just going to be in my head. I'm annoyed. Do not even get me started this weekend. Elanga 14's on the back of the shirt tomorrow, so I'm going to get slaughtered off 10,000 Newcastle fans, and I will happily, with pride, wear Elanga 14 to the Bernabeu this season. I can't wait for that potential possibility, but of course, I don't mind getting shirt numbers wrong if we actually bring the players in. I think Eddie Howe in his interview yesterday came across as frustrated and forcing to the owners that we need investment in this window. And speaking of the owners, Jamie Rubin paid a visit to the Austrian training camp yesterday. The fact that Jamie Rubin's even posted that in his social media stories, I think is hinting a little bit at Newcastle, saying that, you know, calm down, I'm going to go there, we're going to sort this out, I'm going to have some one-on-one time with Eddie Howe, we're going to get the players he wants in. And I feel like, although Jimmy Rubin hasn't said anything in his post, I certainly feel like that post was intentionally put out there just to calm the Newcastle fans down, especially after this Ekitike stuff. I'm telling you now, we came out of this situation well, and we'll talk a bit more about it shortly, but I'll even go as far as say, I think Newcastle's played a blinder when you look at the other teams around us, because I think Newcastle's played the perfect game. We'll explain why. But of course, if you guys are new around here, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the Celtic content tomorrow. Plenty of videos coming out. We are heading to Asia on Wednesday, so it is non-stop here on the channel. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of it. How has Newcastle United played a blinder with the striker situation? Currently, we haven't got a striker coming into this football club. But when you look at our transfer targets this window, Liam Delap went to Chelsea. João Pedro went to Chelsea. Brian and Bruno is going to go to Manchester United, which means Wissa to Newcastle is off. That's another transfer target, potentially 2, if you want to include the Brian and Bruno situation. £71 million, by the way. Done deal, Manchester United. Hugo Ekitike went to Liverpool. And while we have lost those players, and some of those players, like João Pedro and Ekitike, has had official bids for Newcastle, but those teams have now signed strikers, which means that the next player Newcastle goes in for, there's no Premier League teams left. City have Haaland, they're not going to go in. Tottenham's going to spend loads of money on players, so they're not going to go in. Manchester United's already splashed, you're talking £150 million in Cunha and in Bruno. Liverpool aren't going to enter. Ekitike is signed, so once they get him sorted, they're not going to bother anyone. Chelsea's already took 2 transfer targets off us. They're not going to go for a third, surely. So by eliminating all of these options out there, no Premier League team is going to mess with Newcastle now. So no matter what we do next and who we go for next, a Premier League team is not going to challenge Newcastle because they've already signed our transfer targets. So in theory, Newcastle might have thrown in a loose bid. And while, of course, I think João Pedro and Ekitike would have been players that he wanted, might be players that we just got off the list straight away. So Newcastle, whoever's next on the list, knows that, well, this is a player that we can just go in for and actually be able to get and actually be able to work something out. Because that's just been the story of Newcastle's window, just teams constantly challenge. Even James Trafford getting challenged, £40 million from Burnley. Elanga, it's took us, 3 bids to get him in? Forest again challenge Newcastle. Every single thing we do has always been contested and always been challenged with someone else. So when you remove the challenge and when the Premier League teams around us have already bought attacking options, Newcastle have a free hit with whoever's next. Now, as for that question, who is next? Again, I think Whistler's gone now. You're not going to get him. Brian and Bruno's went to Manchester United. Surely Brentford don't sell two attacking players in the same window because I think they'll have a serious chance of being relegated if they do. Then you go past that. Ollie Watkins, I don't think would join Newcastle. Villa, we are a huge competitive rival for Villa. We are the reason they haven't got Champions League football. So why would Aston Villa sell to us? I don't see that one happening. Benjamin Sesko seems to be a name that's been floated heavily around in social media. And he's an interesting one when you look at him because stat-wise, 13 goals, 14 goals scored across the last 2 seasons. So statistically, a player that should be getting looked at. And I'm actually quite surprised that no real team shown intent in signing Sesko this summer. And I almost question that why, because he's a young striker, up and coming. I think fits Eddie Howe's bill in terms of what he's looking for in a striker. Young, already experienced, ready to go straight away. So the fact that nobody's went for him, keep an eye on this one. I'll certainly keep an eye on it, but I'm surprised no team has signed him yet because I think he's a player that should be getting signed from someone. Vlahovic from Juventus is also a name that's been floating around quite a lot, and while not being heavily linked to Newcastle, certainly is a name to keep an eye on. But no matter what happens next, I think Newcastle for now will calm down the striker situation, just wait until Liverpool confirm the sign of Hugo Ekitike. But I'm willing to bet they'll go in straight away afterwards. And the fact that Newcastle has now got a free hit of the striker, no Premier League team that has any legitimate chance of beating Newcastle with a player are going to come in now. Newcastle's eliminated all the options. So I feel like we're going to have a great shot at getting a striker in that's actually going to really improve the team and not a player like a Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Nobody wants Dominic Calvert-Lewin at Newcastle. Surely it's not going to happen. So hopefully Newcastle will be able to spend that money well. You already put 80 million euros in Ekitike. We have the money there. I think we're going to spend it well on a good striker. The current situation with James Trafford's also starting to become quite interesting because it's been pictured yesterday on his social media page that he's currently in a gym. Now, I don't know where that gym is, but it looks like it's in the UK, so he's not currently out on the Portugal tour with Burnley. I mentioned earlier in the week how I haven't seen him anywhere on the Burnley social media page. The media team's left him out, hasn't been shown anywhere, so it gives the implication that he is potentially on his way out of Burnley. And judging from the evidence from him on social media yesterday, seems to back my claims quite a bit. Again, just does not seem to be with the Burnley squad out of Portugal. And a transfer where Newcastle have been close to for your target for over a year. On the player side of things, once to join Newcastle, it's always been the valuation with Burnley. It's always been about finding an agreement that they are happy with Newcastle paying. It just haven't been able to get that compromise. So that's the main hurdle for Newcastle. I still expect us to complete him. I still think we will do it. And the fact that evidence is now starting to be shown in social media seriously gives off the impression for me that I think Newcastle is going to work this one out. Might take a little while, might drag on a bit longer, still the valuation question, but I think eventually Newcastle and Burnley will find an agreement on something. They'll reach a compromise, they'll get something sorted, and I feel like James Trafford will be a Newcastle United player this summer. As for centre halves, I'm sure a lot of you have seen it on social media by now, but Keith Downey posted an exclusive yesterday claiming that Scalvini alongside Juventus centre half and the Valencia centre half are all being linked now. The fact that I haven't even mentioned the names of the other two players would tell you how little I know about them. I honestly haven't got a clue if they're any better than Scalvini or if they are as good as the player. But the fact that Keith Downey has, of course, mentioned that and declared that that's Newcastle's interest, why would we tell journalists and the media of our transfer targets in terms of centre halves now? Again, I think Scalvini at Newcastle has definitely been a close one this summer. You talk about journalists, mention the fact that Tonari's been speaking to him, a player that we know wants to play in the Premier League and has been spoken about how flattered he was that Newcastle offered him a contract in the first place. So that one does seem to have a bit of weight to it. The other two options just came out of nowhere and potentially even away from those three options, Newcastle may be potentially looking at bringing a player that hasn't been mentioned yet in social media, and it might be perhaps their time now to start playing these mind games in social media, start throwing names out there just in case a team like a Liverpool or a Chelsea is watching us and waiting to see what we do for them to start placing bids, and then Newcastle might swoop in and sign someone else. So we'll see what happens with the centre half. I feel like, as we mentioned before, Newcastle are going to focus on other areas than striker for now. I feel like we'll go back to striker in a couple of days' time or so, but our options, we'll see if we can get something going. this week I feel like something has to give. Now, I was not wanting to dedicate a part of this video to Anfield Agenda, but I'm sure you guys have seen them on social media by now. Bold Liverpool Irish fan who, of course, has a lot to say about Newcastle over the past few days on social media. Let's start off with the Isak situation where he first began to make comments directly towards the Newcastle fans.
Hi there, how are we? Now look, I want to just start off the stream with just a heartfelt word to the Newcastle fans. Jokes aside, there's no need to thank us. I know you're saying to yourself, aren't these lads from Liverpool absolutely top notch, coming in, helping us with our PSR issues, helping us with the rebuild. And honestly, it's what we're about. You know, as a football club, we're a community club and we're here to help. So if us handing over £130 million, which let's be honest, we can do, if that helps Newcastle out in building a new striker, a centre-back, I mean, I think it's the least that we can do. So just to kick us off tonight, no need to thank me. No need to thank us, Newcastle fans. It's okay. You know, you're welcome. We're friends. This is what we do.
I don't even know where to start this video. I love it, by the way, how he says, no need to thank me. Not even Liverpool thank me, as if he's part of the recruitment team. Is he doing the Isak deal behind the scenes? Why do we need to thank him and not Liverpool? Yeah, I don't understand that part of the video, but yeah, I can see straight away what he's trying to do. I think especially for any streamer. There's a lot of opposition fans nowadays doing this towards Newcastle where they are purposely provoking and almost poking Newcastle fans just to get the reaction. Now, I get that content creator on a financial point of view, on a personal level, may want to do that, try and boost their profile and become more recognizable. But I will continue to warn our content creators about this. It's not sustainable. On a short-term basis, yes, it will be beneficial because I'm reacting. Newcastle fans watching this video will react to this post, but we aren't going to come back and watch Anfield Agenda. We aren't going to watch him when Newcastle plays Liverpool during the season. Why are we going to watch him when, of course, he's not saying the nicest things about Newcastle? So for a content creator watching this video who may feel like they want to get a reaction from Newcastle fan, it's not beneficial long term. But what happens next for Anfield Agenda?
Can I address Newcastle fans for a second, if that's okay? Over the past 24 hours, I have been absolutely abused left, right and centre by Newcastle fans who are getting angry at me over the fact that Liverpool are interested in Isak. And what I'd like to say is, if you pay attention to anything that I have to say about Newcastle fans on here, I've been nothing but polite, respectful. Cry more! Cry more! Wah, wah. Cry more! Wah, wah, wah. Cry more! Cry more! Wah. Oh, God, that felt good. Oh, that felt good. And kind towards them. But some of this they've thrown at me over the last 24 hours is quite frankly embarrassing. So if we're going down that route of not being nice, no problem. I have that side to me as well. But again, I'm not trying to buy Isak. It's not my money. I can't help it if my football club that I support is looking to buy a player. It's not me trying to sleep with your missus. Grow the and calm down, some of you people. My God. Personal dogs abuse for reporting news like it's me trying to buy the players. It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. And I'm glad I'm not on X and social media because it's been so petty, so embarrassing, and so ridiculous that, it's changing my view of a fan base that I only ever had lovely things to say.
No way, man. Get off your high horse. Oh, I'm going to change my opinion on the Newcastle fans because some of them be nasty on social media. It's like getting this stick and then poking a crocodile and then being upset when the crocodile snaps at you. Well, what do you expect? You are poking the crocodile. You provoke Newcastle fans. Don't sit there and play the victim. You were obviously trying to antagonise the Newcastle fan. Even go to your previous live stream. That is the Liverpool fan who claims he's done nothing to Newcastle fans. He says, well, I'm not the one signing the players. You said 24 hours before this post that no need to thank me, not even thank Liverpool, thank me. That's what you said. And you want to come out the live stream, you want to cry, you want to mourn, you want to say this about Newcastle fans. What do you expect? If you are going to be angry and say things about Newcastle that aren't the nicest things, of course, Newcastle fans are going to come back and they're going to say nasty things about you. Yeah, should they be doing it? Probably not. But you are antagonising them and you are getting them to react to you. And that's when you do get the dogs abuse. So, yeah, I don't know what you're expecting, but we're not even done here. There's still more to this story.
What I don't get here, though, is the Newcastle fans who feel like we're trying to bully them. Let me just put it to you like this. This is what happened, and you tell me how this is bullying. Hi there, Newcastle. Knock, knock. Is Isak available? No. Okay. You sure now? Yeah, he's not available. No problem. Thank you, lads. Appreciate that. We just happen to move on to our next target now, who's Hugo Ekitike. How is that bullying? What you don't want to accept is that we knew that Ekitike would crawl over broken glass to come and play for Liverpool. And that is the part that you're struggling to come to terms with. And that's okay. It's okay. These things happen. It's happened to us in the past. But right now, Liverpool are a club on the up and up, and players are obviously dying to come and play here. Look at Isak. He wanted to come. Ekitike wanted to come. Why is that? Because we're a pretty attractive club right now. So stop this trying to bully us shite. We made an offer or an inquiry from a player that you told us wasn't for sale, and we moved on. No bullying involved in that. The only thing that's hurt here is, well, your feelings, because I don't understand how you are so touchy over the transfer window. This is how football works. Can we buy your player? No. Okay, we move on. That's called an offer to most people, but bullying, if you're a Newcastle fan. Bullying.
How is this guy still going with the Newcastle fans? This saga is longer than the Ekitike and Isak saga was over the past couple of days. Anfield agenda versus Newcastle fans is somehow a longer saga than the actual transfer situation, which he's talking about. Mental. Now, I've got nothing personally against the guy. I say this about anyone we ever criticise or speak about my videos. I'm always fair and everyone. I always look at their point of view and I always speak, well, of course, a Newcastle point of view. I always speak as fairly as possible. I never want to come across as biased, cocky, and I always want to call just down the middle to be fair on everyone. I feel like that's the best way of representing yourself on something like YouTube. He's clearly looking for reactions. What else do you want me to say? He's intentionally looking for Newcastle fans to respond to him. He's then going to, of course, continue to play the victim card. If he doesn't like stuff, he gets taught. And it's just one of these ones where it's going to go back, forth, and it'll continue to benefit him. But I say it again, as I mentioned before, on a long-term basis, Newcastle fans are just not going to tune in. They're not going to say nice things about him and they're not going to come back and watch the guys on a Liverpool versus Newcastle match day. They're just not going to tune in. It's that simple. But yeah, I wanted to direct this part of the video towards, because I know you guys have all wanted me to respond to it, or wanted me to have my say in it. You know, a lot of Newcastle fans saying it on social media, and yeah, what else do you want me to say? Yeah, I can understand why Newcastle fans are unpleased with it, and the saga's benefited both teams. Isak staying at Newcastle is huge for us. I can see going to Liverpool would be a good sign for them. Both teams can be happy and unhappy at the same time following on from the situation, but Newcastle have successfully held up Liverpool, which in our point of view is a major keeping Isak this summer. His value, his irreplaceable in this team. Does not matter how much money you throw at him, his value, you just can't replace at Newcastle. He's that good. But that's it from me today in Glasgow. I'm going to go check out the hotel shortly. I'm knackered. I want to get some rest at some point. But, of course, 10,000 Newcastle fans tomorrow. Make sure you tune in so you don't miss it. And if you are going to the game, enjoy it. Make the most out of it. Can't wait to be here. And I've got a sneaky feeling we might be seeing Celtic again this season. I've got a feeling we'll get them in the Champions League. I don't know why it is. I feel like just playing them now is almost a Newcastle sort of thing where we just get them again. So, yeah, let's see if I'm correct in that. Take care, though. Appreciate you watching, and we'll see you all in the next one.